Hi everyone, and welcome back to Up Next, where me and Kalen sit down and go over new projects from this week that we're excited about. So we've just listened to all the new music that came out this weekend, and now we're going to talk about some of our favorites and what we're excited to sort of sink our teeth into this week. How are you, Kalen?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm tired. It's a Monday afternoon.
I know. We always talk about how the weekend ends up taking it out of you, so you're more tired on Monday sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
that tends to happen. Sorry.
Well, we often work really hard over the weekends because of the way that our outside noise project works. So we listen to a lot of the stuff that comes out on New Music Friday. And then just all day Friday and all day Saturday where we're like...
I have the listening project. I have getting ready for Up Next. No, we went to a concert last night. We went to a show.
Too. Yeah, I mean, we find a good balance with it, but normally throughout the week, I actually have less work to do than I do on like Friday and Saturday.
I think I just have to work a lot on different things all the time.
We stay busy. We stay busy.
Nonstop, actually. But yes, I'm tired. It's Monday and I'm tired.
All right.
And we usually film this on Saturday or Sunday as well, so we pushed it back.
You know, we're making space for it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm excited to talk about music. We were just talking before we started rolling here about how this week will probably be the comeback of our beloved Dance Roundup, who we lost several months ago. We used to do a lot of genre-based roundups on the Outside Noise Instagram and TikTok and stuff.
Yeah, we did Dance Roundup, we did Metal Roundup.
Yes.
And neither of those are... We did Hip-Hop Roundup sometimes.
We had a Hip-Hop Roundup. We did Romance Roundup for Valentine's Day. So it's like a fun thing we kind of bring back every now and then. But people were sleeping on Dance Roundup. And we've talked about on this show, on this very program, sort of maybe a disproportionate male audience not connecting as much with dance music somehow, for some reason.
I don't know if it's even necessarily like the disproportionately male audience as much as it is like you don't think of dance music as necessarily having enough like substance to it to be reviewed. Mm-hmm. But I take a little bit of I disagree with that.
I kind of disagree.
Obviously not like every dance project is really intellectual, but
the thing about Dance Roundup is it's not like a lack of stuff to write about. I would do it and write about it, but the response to Dance Roundup,
and dance music is also often not something that you sit down and like just listen to. It's a little more like background music, or you listen to it literally just like at the club.
But none of this answers why I was able to write about these dance projects and people didn't care about it.
I don't know.
None of this answers anyway.
I think that similarly to like metal as well, that the dance community is quite insular.
And Dance Roundup was always like not the right word for it. But you don't want to say electronic because it's not. You don't want to say ambient. Like there's not quite a word that encapsulates everything that I want to go in Dance Roundup.
Right. Well, this is your kind of chance to bring it back. I see you have some great dance records on your list. Do you want to get us started with one of them?
Yeah, for sure.
Do we want to get started with the big name that we wouldn't normally cover? But I think it's worth talking about. Let's talk about...
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Rebecca Black. We're going to talk about the new Rebecca Black album briefly.
Salvation.
It's called Salvation. Yeah. Y'all obviously remember Rebecca Black from Friday.
I saw. Apparently, that's the only thing anyone ever has known her to do in her entire life, which is crazy because she's had like a career since then.
She's had a pretty long career.
She's been working.
Well, this is what I was gonna say.
Okay. They gave her a gun.
Well, okay, you sort of jumped the punchline.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to steal that from you, but they can see it on the album cover.
I'm still talking about Friday. Like, I haven't even talked about the album.
Let's rewind.
Okay.
Let's rewind.
Jump the shark a little. Friday, Rebecca Black, and then 2019, 2020, she starts getting into, like, the deeper electronic stuff. She has, like, a big hyper-pop moment alongside, like, Dorian Electra and stuff like that. And then, as we've talked about many times before, hyperpop was then a dead horse that had been beat. So I feel like she toured on it though. Like people love what she was doing in hyperpop and everything. But she's just sort of found a bit more of a balance, I would say, with Salvation. More of an unapologetic sound, sort of taking more of the Brat inspo, where you sort of have like what.
I mean, it's a little bit Brad, but it's something else
but
too.
It's not hyperpop. It's not specifically that like emo.
Exactly, it's so not, and I love that. It's more old school like trance stuff.
Well, yeah, and when I say brat, I'm talking more of the attitude, not feeling like you have to have such a strong allegiance to hyperpop or whatever.
Yes.
Where you're not, like, bound down by any one thing. It's electronic dance pop. It does follow, like, pop song structures. We do have some more, like, weird stuff later on. But it's really cool, and it has its moments of, like, darkness and intensity that are fun. Still very singable and cool. And, yeah, they did give her a gun.
I love that.
Yeah.
Even though it isn't like hyperpop, it is relatively experimental in some of its structures too. I like that.
She still has a trace of the hyperpop. It's not like she did away with it entirely. It's just nice to see her not having to be like totally in one camp. Genre-wise, I don't know.
This is great. I can't believe people are still like making Friday jokes. Talk about beating a dead horse. Come on. I'm like, yeah, it's funny, like, haha, but I mean, she really, truly, especially this album in particular, shows that she is such a serious and accomplished artist.
Yeah, and she's made it clear that she's a professional, and she'll talk about Friday. She's proud of it, because it was huge. And
I wouldn't say she was proud of it. I don't know if... I would need to hear her speak about it.
Yeah.
But it was actually like a really exploitative situation.
No, it was, and it's not good, but... not proud of it, but
she owns
the launch of her career,
right?
At the end of the day, you know, and so maybe not proud of it, but having ownership of it.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. It is just interesting to still be cutting jokes, especially because she was like 14.
It's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
It's interesting.
I'm having fun with the new record. Put it on at the volleyball game.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'll share a record now that I really had fun with and enjoyed listening to.
Oh, wow, Kalen, what could the title of the album be?
The name of this album isn't about the $500 million loan Wells Fargo gave to Elbit Systems. It's a fun, apolitical album with spooky lyrics that you can put on at your Halloween parties or anytime by Carlton Heston of Atlanta Monsters fame. So as you can tell by the name of this album, it's, just a really laid back, casual, chill,
non-specific,
not political at all. And it's kind of just a fun kind of like graveyard smash of an album,
sort of monster mash.
I'll share some of the names of the songs too to kind of give you an idea of what to expect here. The first track is the lyrics of this song are not about how easy it is to disrupt cash flow by accidentally sabotaging ATMs. It's a song about ghosts and goblins or something. And I just love that kind of like Halloween, I'm a little spooky, a little gothy today.
What does the album sound like? I know the titles are fun, but...
Yeah, it's like Halloween music. No, I'm sorry. It's not Halloween music. It's more like folk. It's very cool. Protest folk music.
Yeah.
And it's very, very intense and strung out and lyrically verbose. Mm-hmm. It reminds me, I don't know, this is a silly reference to pull, but like the Violent Femmes almost, in just that kind of like loose, fast folk music, but it's just like a guitar, so he doesn't have a whole backing band like the Violent Femmes, but that like proto folk punk kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, I guess, Violent Femmes does have a backing band, but it still does sound so...
It's that,
thin in that way.
It's like, I think this person has been awake for, 2 weeks writing this album and has not slept.
That sound. We went to a Days and Days show last night.
Yeah, that was
and
awesome.
that was the vibe. It was good.
So this is a little less crusty than Days and Days, but still quite heavy. I like track number 5, Two American Politicians Who Exercise Global Influence. There is no discernible moral difference between a Palestinian and an American, but they don't want you to know that. And now Frankenstein. So if you like that sort of thing, if you like Halloween music, if you like something that just gives you a good break, from
if you're sick of the politics,
if you're sick of all the politics in music, if you just want to listen,
if you miss when musicians were musicians,
and the lyrics are breathtaking too. The way that this artist presents this information is both tongue-in-cheek, but is like executed, and it is haunting and spooky in a way. I think that was intentional, but the subject matter is really, really intense and worth talking about, and it's presented in a really like fun, backhanded kind of way. But I highly recommend checking this one out for anyone. I don't know. I lost it. Sorry.
You lost the pitch. You lost the pitch.
Listen to this album.
I have an album that, if the Rebecca Black is a little too pop for you and you need to go one step weirder,
okay,
I have a good choice. This album is called Restitched. It's by Patchwork, and it definitely leans into more of the industrial side. I think Rebecca Black's heaviest moments are kind of where this album lives, which is fun. It's made of a collective of people, which is interesting. I guess we have collectives and stuff a lot, but it's like every track is by a different person, or is at least credited to a different person, which always lends itself to some really good sounds. It's really fun. It's quite speedy. It's energetic. That tempo really just keeps going the whole time, and I like it's just a bunch of good crunchy dance tracks.
That's cool. Yeah. And by collective, so each track is by a different artist. Do you know if there's any like collaboration happening, or
probably. I actually have no idea.
Oh yeah, this does look just like a compilation,
right?
Or something.
There's like credits to all the different artists, so
cool.
I'm not sure.
And that's a really fun way to find different artists. I feel like compilations are underrated, and we don't review them almost ever. So I think it's great.
Yeah, it says they're put out on Eraser, alternative collective, not a label.
Cool.
So they have some way of grouping these artists together and putting them on a cool project.
That's kind of like Outside Noise. We're not a label. We distribute music, but we don't own any of it. But we do pay our artists.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Should I do, I have two options here. I'm going to present them both to you, and I guess I'll let you pick here. Should I do a industrial dance album to kind of go with your little theme, or should I talk about this anarcho free jazz album instead?
Ooh, talk about the industrial album.
Okay.
Go with my theme, please. Okay. We're bringing back Dance Roundup.
Woo! So I'll be talking about DJ Brainbleed and the OSHA Violation Mixtape.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're talking about this one. And you can talk about both albums, by the way.
Wow. Okay, well, maybe I'll save that last one as a little bonus at the end. I really liked the OSHA Violation Mixtape. This was all bangers. Some of my notes here include dark, crusty, rusty, dusty, industrial techno.
Dark, crusty, rusty, dusty.
Like all positive. These are all things that you want it to sound like. So by dark, don't have to explain, it's spooky. Crusty, it has that texture on it. Rusty, we're industrial but like abandoned, old. Rusted out, abandoned. Dusty, also I'm talking that like old, like analog
dust and crust have a different I get what you mean.
It's like
crust is like
dust off of it,
and dust you can feel
it does both, it does all of it. Isn't that fun? With some yummy lysergic flourishes. So if you like acid techno, Four on the floor with spooky samples. Good music for when you forget to properly seal your diving bell and get spaghettified following rapid depressurization. No. Rest in peace to the victims of the Byford Dolphin diving accident of 1982 or whatever.
Yeah, Benz is no joke. It'll get ya.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like a blast. Can't wait to check that one out.
Indeed. This will probably. I think it's accurately titled.
Oh, the OSHA Violation Mixtape does conjure a really good image in your mind. When I had to wake up for a pretty easy job where not very many OSHA violations were actually taking place, but I just had to be up at 4 a.m., I needed the OSHA violation mixtape at that time.
Yeah, it sounds like you're being
like you don't want to be at work. Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Great.
It's great.
Do you ever think of the video of those guys that are all like wet with the mud and they're like doing the metal equipment? They're like pushing it around.
Wet with
Put it like
mud?
Here. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't know.
We'll throw it in the video.
Okay. You'll have to show me the wet with mud, guys.
They're like cranking stuff and like pushing. They're working.
The orcs in like Lord of the Rings? That's what I'm seeing. When you said the wet with mud and they're like pushing metal around.
No, it's like men used to work like this. Men used to fight wars.
Cool. But now men make the next album that you're going to talk about. Yeah, it's actually by not a man. Not a man.
What was the setup? Like, what did you want me to get out of that setup? What was I supposed to do with that? So my last sort of dancey album that I'm talking about here today, I would say if Salvation by Rebecca Black is our starting point, a step deeper is Restitched by Patchwork. Perhaps the strangest, most abrasive of them all is If Not to Give a Fantasy by Kilbourne. This is cool. More of the hardcore techno side of things. Not quite so much in that like industrial ravey bit, I guess. This is big and scary. Pretty much the whole time, kind of unrelenting. And it's just more if you love that boiler room shit. This is it.
Something this artist did that I thought was really interesting was incorporated some samples that you wouldn't normally expect to hear in like hardcore techno.
Yeah.
So especially that first track, Loon Call, it's built around a loon call.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting juxtaposition between this like heavy, intense, like mechanical noise and the really
loon.
soft, That was really good. Oh my god, there's the loons. They're coming. You've called them.
I really love the bird noise, combined with the really ear-splitting
nasty
techno. Yeah, it's so good. It's crazy. Nasty. It does make you want to throw down and dance. And it adds a loon call is something very haunting and very spooky. I don't really have a point, sorry, but it's hearing them together. It kind of makes sense in a weird way, though.
It does make sense, but I just thought that was really interesting, and it made me want to listen to more of this album, which I will have to do.
Yeah, I love that like weird, strange tie to nature in it. Yeah, it's good. Like I said, it goes hardest out of all three of my picks. All three of them go pretty hard, but I think this one has the most to sink your teeth into if you're like an outside noise fan.
I love that. I love that. If you're here for us.
Yeah, something you might expect to hear from us more.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can I share another thing that you might expect to hear? These are both ones. Okay, I'm just talking about 4 albums today. I know normally we do 3, but I have to talk about all 4 of these. And I'll go with that Anarcho jazz album that I was going to talk about previously. Cool. It is Everything That Shines, Everything That Hurts by Yes Dear. This is free jazz at its core, but it's just drums, a sax, and an electric guitar. So it's a pretty stripped down trio performing. And I really liked the inclusion of electric guitar here because I feel like it took it in kind of a punk direction.
Yeah.
And it made me think about the like ideological overlap between these two genres that otherwise might not really have like a ton in common with like a listener space,
because free jazz is about like breaking out of structure and stuff, much like punk music,
right?
And I can see when you get to 3 people in your free jazz, even if there's a loose structure, that's few enough people that you can just read each other really well while you're playing.
So I thought that this was really fun, and I would definitely recommend, even if you're not a jazz listener, if you like punk music, then this might be a good way to, expand your horizons, check out something a little different. And then, finally, I will talk about an album that might be an album of the year contender.
News to me.
I'm serious.
Okay.
I'm very serious.
Who?
It is A Harmony of Loss Has Been Sung by Tunic. I saved this one for last because this is an incredibly heavy album. It is about the artist's wife going through a miscarriage, and it is incredibly intense and depressing, and it is about loss and grief and just unpacking like all of these emotions around this traumatic event that also happens to people like every day, like way more often than people think, and the way that they like go through this event like from start to finish and relive this like the emotional process is really captivating, and musically it's so intense, heavy like post-rock, noise rock. Michael said this is like outside noise bait. This is kind of like Daughter's core sort of.
Oh my god. Michael, you'll show him something and he listens for a second, he goes, it's good. Sounds like Daughter.
yeah, that happened. I was like listening to this on the bus and like crying. Yeah. I'm trying not to cry, like looking out the window and being like, crazy, punishing, very, very effective, really incredible. Packs it all in like 30 minutes, which is also very impressive that you can deliver such an impactful and moving, and really deeply sad album, with such a message into such a short little package. But it's great. Highly recommend. Chef's Kiss. Great job.
Thank you, Tunic.
Yeah, you'll be hearing from us later this year when you make it onto our album of the year list.
Yeah, I'm like, well, look forward to the weekly podcast episode.
Yeah, we'll be talking about
this. The four of us definitely talk about Tunic in a few weeks.
Or to the album of the month episode later.
Yeah.
Too, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe I'm hyping it up too much. I don't want to overhype it. But that's it. That's what I got. So thank you for indulging me in talking about my extra album. I know that you didn't find a ton of stuff this week, but I really had a lot. It was hard to narrow it down to these four.
I had all these great dance albums and not much beyond it, but I am really glad that these are the ones that I found.
There's so much other stuff I wanted to talk about too. You know what? No, it's okay.
That's my time.
That's time. Carrie, what are you looking forward to this week? Do you have anything coming up?
I'm gonna try a new yoga class. That'll be fun.
That's awesome.
I don't know what else is going on. That's kind of it. I have kind of a slow week again. I feel like sometimes I'd be saying that on Up
That's
Next,
nice.
but sometimes it's a slow week. What about you?
Well, we mentioned that you and I saw Days and Days last night, Sunday night. But they are playing a little 3-day residency here, and so I might see if one of our friends wants to come with us to go see them again tomorrow because I'm obsessed.
Yeah, it was a super fun show.
It's a great show.
I had never been able to see them before, and I was so happy to see them. I was surprised how many songs I knew, and I love how much fun everyone was having. It was a great time.
Right, I'd previously seen them fully like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if I don't get to see them again for another 10 years, I'll go see him again tomorrow. Why not? I'll be there.
Of course.
Who knows?
Easy. And we got a free ticket. Someone in line had an extra ticket and gave it to us.
That was really sweet.
So you also have like ticket money, basically.
That is so true.
Tomorrow.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Well,
do you like that logic?
I love that. Life is short. Go see that band. Go to that concert.
And listen to all the music we talked about today and more.
I love it. Bye.
Bye.